So today is day one of the coronavirus quarantine. School's out for 2 weeks.
Let's pick one
Right
puzzle,
now we are,
and then
Justine's helping, and we
one more activity.
look to see what they are up to right now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Great. Come sit down.
Okay, so now people are all stressed because they're dealing with this self-isolation. But then, now I have to homeschool my kid. And it's like, yeah, that sucks for like the typical population who's trying to work at home and homeschool and all of this stuff. But then it's like, okay, but now think about the special needs parents who are now working at home, who now have their kids here, who are having added behaviors, more behaviors. And now we have to teach our kids, okay, most of our children are on, individual education plans and they need special instruction. I mean, your son and my son are, kind of in the same place with the verbalness and their verbal ability. And it's like, I don't know how to teach him stuff.
If you guys maybe just could raise your hand and let me know, because I'm just curious, if you've stopped services, outside services, if you've stopped them or if you're continuing to go.
We only get services through school at this point, so they have all stopped.
Not because we want to.
Okay.
We've stopped in-home. All of our services now are all telehealth.
Right now, at least from our company, our therapists, we're basically on lockdown. Like, we have been asked to only do essential shopping. We've been minimized to 3 client contacts. So we are trying to maximize hours with this little like come and go from people's houses. But as far as like the ABA companies, people are carrying disinfectant wipes in their cars and hand sanitizer and washing their hands when they enter somebody's house right before they leave somebody's house. They're not supposed to be bringing in toys, those kinds of things. So I think that, if people would not judge the families that are getting services.
I know my sister has been like, what? You have all these people coming in your house? You should have nobody. And I said, I have to have Justine. And I know her. I know that she's social distancing outside the house. She's only seeing us. Henry is going to regress a lot if we don't have that structure for him. He needs that structure of school, and he needs that structure of peers, which we can't have right now. So he needs to have a little bit more structure of having somebody in the house. And again, I take it very seriously. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want other people to get sick, but we need this. We need to have these people in our house. So thank you, Ashley, for saying that as a perspective of a therapist. So
I'll do the homeschooling thing as much as I can, but I'm also working as much as I can to make sure that my clients remain on track with their skills. And I still have a house to run, and trying to get him to sit in front of a computer for how many hours a day? Probably not going to happen. I'm not that mom. I'm not you. We don't have that household.
I don't understand how they're going to teach kids like Cole and Henry. It's these kids. Maybe, I don't know. Could you see Henry sitting down for 2 hours doing? No, I couldn't see Cole doing that. He knows how to work an iPad better than anybody else. He would be on like YouTube in like 5 seconds.
That's Henry. Justine's probably doing some work on the iPad with him, but he's probably trying to escape the app that he's in and go on YouTube.
We need one-on-one but with boundaries. So we have a mutual understanding, like, respect the social distancing, respect staying at home, respect the hand washing and the sanitizing and everything, and home services will continue. And I also understand if at any time either one of them feels uncomfortable about coming into the home, that it's fine. Like, you gotta do mentally what's best for you right now.
Yeah. We did one telehealth session and he was not happy. He was gritting his teeth and crying, and he like got up and like left the house. Like, he actually walked out of the house. And like, they were arguing with me like, oh, like he was happy, and I'm like, no, he left the house. Like, maybe you didn't realize it because you're on a computer screen, but like, clearly he doesn't want to do it, and I'm not going to make him do it.
Yeah. I'm like, he didn't just leave
So,
the room. He left the house. He was like,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's not like he left the dining room. He walked out the front door and was like, goodbye, I'm done. Which I wanted to do too.
Yeah.
So don't blame him.
All professionals working with kids with autism, whether it's behavior therapists, speech therapists, OT, everybody, they all are really good at getting kids to do things that are hard. So when you take that away, it's just it's not going to happen anymore, you know? And parents, especially now that I'm a mom, I get it. Like, it's not in our nature to force our kids to do things that are hard. It's just not, it's in your nature to comfort and make them feel, when they feel calm and happy, you feel calm and happy. That's what's natural. And that's just why professionals are important, because they come in and they don't have those natural instincts. So it's easy for them to push and maybe make the kids a little more uncomfortable, knowing that in the end it's going to benefit them. It's easier because they're not finding their own natural instincts.
As soon as Henry gets upset, I want to be like, oh no, come here. Don't
Worse.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to push him too hard, but I know. And sometimes it's been a little difficult when Justine and I are sitting with him doing a game. I've been learning to like sit and wait, because you know Henry, and he will wait you out. But Justine's sitting there going, yeah, we can wait. I'm like, and I said to Henry, I'm like, we have all day. We're not going anywhere.
That's right. We're not going anywhere.
And I push him to get dressed by himself. I'm like, we're not in a rush to get out the door anymore.
No,
like, I can sit here for 30 minutes while you put your shoes on, because he will sit there and he will try and wait you out, because he's like, I know mom's going to do it for me if I just sit here.
I know. Yes, I know.
He's trying to escape, but I'm trying to make him
do some work.
Do a little bit of math. Yeah, his teacher is emailing me daily, and her last line this time was, it's very important to do learning activities like read. Because we've been doing like crafts, and we have been doing reading and stuff, but sitting down to actually do academics has been hard. Definitely gets very angry, and he doesn't like, we have to really, really, really push him to read, and like that, like turns into a big, but whereas in school, he's been getting such like great reports about his reading and stuff. Like he knows what the expectations are, and he does good with that, but when they're not there.
Yeah.
And Matt works from home.
Yeah.
So he's been able to, you know, he's been here, and his load has been a lot lighter. And Declan is better, like learning things from him, you know, if he sits down and does like math problems with him and stuff like that. But I just feel like at this time, I know he's going to regress.
Video speech sessions and therapy sessions were a no-go. They all realized that it was detrimental to his program, and all three of them worked it out in their schedules where they're now coming to the house. They've taken all precautions. We're taking precautions.
Oh, good.
And they're helping with the schoolwork. He's getting packets from school. I get those struggles, and I get the fights at night after dinner when we're working on his actual school packets. And I see the struggles, you know, and I sit here and I think to myself, I'm like, I wonder if he's acting this way at school. You know, and then I talk to his teachers, and they're like, no, he works for us. And I'm like, you little shit. All of his therapists have been absolutely amazing. I mean, I honestly don't know what I would do without any of them, just because the support that they've given, you know, the fact that he's having so many sensory issues right now, they're all jumping in to say, what about this? What about that? Let's try this. Let's try that. We're very lucky in the sense that we have a Justine, and we have a Mandy and Amanda and a Kiani.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of families out there that don't have that, and they've got therapists that refuse to come to the house and, you know, can't do speech or whatever over the computer because the kids can't handle it. So we're gonna see a lot of regression, unfortunately.
Like, I could get him to sit and I could physically do work with him, which I do. You know, we're still working on words, and we're still working on math, you know, like, and I use games for that.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to lose what he's got. So I work on that every day, which is exhausting. It's different when you only have to do it for 3 or 4 hours after they get home from school or program. You know, it's like I was I was used to, like, during the day, I was taking care of me and my health issues.
Yes.
And then when he would come home in the evening, it was like that was my clock in to do work, you know, with Sammy. We had our whole routine, and that's kind of been uprooted. We've uprooted, and now I'm trying to find like a new norm.
Homeschooling is like not my thing.
You have 3 to homeschool right now. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's totally crazy. I used to sort of consider Nicole's therapy time as my break time because she was with her therapist. They would come to the house or we would go to clinic and they would work with Nicole, and it was my break. But now that it's transitioned to being a Zoom call or a telemed therapy, I'm trying to participate in that more because we are the ones that are kind of doing their routines at home now instead of getting them out with the providers. So I think it's really important to kind of get involved in that video conferencing and helping them continue that routine because like Nicole has made so much progress in using OT, PT, and speech. I don't want her to lose that. So trying to get involved and keep her doing her therapies, I think is really important instead of just, well, you know, things are crazy, so we'll just stop.
Yeah.
Our kids can regress so quick. We can't let that happen. So we have to stay involved in that.
Yeah, this is the amount of work that in just like a week and a half, I truly had a rude awakening of how much work that they do in a day.
Oh my god.
I couldn't imagine if I was working,
Yeah.
being able to doing what I could do with Brendan, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Like, I've been thinking about that. Like, there's no way. I'm starting to understand too, like, he'll have a behavior with me just as a teacher. And I'm like, okay, would you, if your teacher told you you needed help with this, would you do what you're just doing where you're laying in your chair, like wailing, like backwards? Well, no. I'm like, okay, so pull it together. This is not okay. Like, you have to understand that, you know, treat me as you would treat your teacher, or treat it as like you have a class full of people that they're looking at you. How would you react? You know, because he's the kid though. Anything gets hard, he like shuts down.
It's weird because like we try to do some like studies in the morning, maybe about an hour, hour and a half, and then she would just like usually zonk out after that. And I don't know if part of it is because she's trying to like process everything, and I don't know, I'm not a teacher, I know that. So I would see her homework as it comes home, but it's like some of this stuff I think is different than like what I learned.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of, you know, I mean, luckily when she'd bring home the homework, she knew how to do it because there was some of it that I didn't understand. So it's sad that school is canceled for right now. So
yeah.
I think I'm the only one out of all the moms that homeschools. So for us, it's different, I think, than everybody else. I can't let anybody in my house. Both my boys are both immunocompromised, and I have my mom here. So with Caleb, he's used to homeschooling with me. And I think for him, it just got exciting because now all of the extra people that would come into our house now don't come in our house. The telehealth, they aren't having me have him look in a camera or look at the screen like we are. They're just like watching him, and I'm doing whatever it is they're supposed to do, chasing him around. Except for he can hear their voices, he doesn't really do much with them.
So
it's mostly with me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because he couldn't sit there and look at that screen either and say, oh, we're going to do this.
I can't tell you how many parents are like, this is what teletherapy looks like. Jackson, come back. Come look at the screen. You know?
You're following him around with the iPad.
I'm amazed that Jackson has started to do school with his teacher, and it's awesome. I love his teacher so much.
That's so good.
She's so fantastic. And like, he's like, because it's fun for him, he gets to stare at a screen and he's like answering stuff on the screen and like touching the screen, and he's like all into it. So like, oh my God.
Oh, good. That is so great.
Yeah. Sark started sending a therapist this week, and she is not used to having a therapist at home. Jackson's therapist usually play with her.
Yeah.
And for now that like she has a therapist at home and like they're demanding things of her. She's like, what is this? Why are these people demanding things of me?
There she is.
You want to say hi to Rachel?
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Maria. How are you? Good. Good to see you.
And us special needs parents are struggling right now. This is hard. Our daily lives are difficult. There are studies that suggest that special needs parents suffer from PTSD-like symptoms. There are actual peer-reviewed journal articles on this. That's our typical.
Yeah.
That's like baseline. Like that's where we live. Is like with this high amount of stress, where we're like soldiers coming back from war. Like that's the stress level we're at all the time. Now imagine where we're at.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. Just tired. Emotionally tired. And physically tired. It's just kind of, I know again, we need to be staying at home, but it's hard. I haven't really seen anyone. Henry hasn't been around any other kids. It's just tough. So I just wanted to say that.